You have hundreds of plugins, thousands of samples, and you probably watched almost every tutorial on YouTube, but you still feel like your music sucks. It's because you're doing these four mistakes. They keep you stuck in a loop, destroying your mix, and make you feel frustrated. When I helped my client fix them, they started finishing high-quality tracks much quicker. So in this video, I will show you what these mistakes are, why they're holding you back, and give you simple steps to fix them so you can finish every track you start. So I want you to imagine this. You want to get in shape, right? So you go out and buy the best running shoes, high-end stopwatch, fancy gym clothes, and every fitness gadget that you can find. But when it's time to actually work out, you still find it really difficult to improve your fitness. The gear is top-notch, but your fitness doesn't improve because the real problem isn't in the gadget, it's in the training. This is exactly what happens to a lot of producers when they think that more plugins will make the tracks sound better. I certainly been there. I actually remember spending hours scrolling through a plugin website, watching plugin reviews, convincing myself that this new plugin or synth or sample pack will finally get me to the sound I'm after. But the truth is, this mindset kept me stuck in a loop. Instead of improving my sound design, my arrangements, and mixing skills, I spend my time chasing tools and sound banks, hoping that they will magically fix my music. And the thing is, if you don't know how to use an EQ properly, it really doesn't matter if you have a FabFilter Pro Q4 or a stock EQ. I was shocked how much I can achieve when I limit my options, and I also learned these tools inside out. And that helped me to develop a simple system to use them effectively, which I teach in my course Start to Finished. It helped Bruno improve his production almost overnight. He finished radio quality tracks much quicker, and as a result, he got booked for more live sets than ever before. So mistake number one is using too many plugins instead of taking the time to really learn how to use one properly. Mistake number two is the reason why your music might sound flat and lifeless. Imagine you're cooking a meal. You got fresh ingredients, the best cooking equipment, and follow the recipe with perfection. But when you take a bite, it tastes bland. Why? Because you forgot to add seasoning. No salt, no spices, just plain food. This is what happens when you either don't use enough saturation or you don't EQ your sounds properly. The elements are there and it might be the most amazing track, but the mix feels thin and lifeless. So I have here a track of mine. It's still a work in progress, but I will play it with saturation and without. So this is with. And without. The difference is so big. Let's break down the different elements. Let's start with this lead sound. This is with the saturation on, off, back on. Then we have this little hi-hat thing. This is with the saturation on and off. In the context of the entire mix, it really helps it cut through the mix. Without, kind of disappears. Then we have this bass. This is with the saturation on, off, on. It's amazing how a sprinkle of salt can bring out all the flavor in your food. And by the way, this is the plugin I use. It's called Filterverse by Polyverse Music, and I will add a link for it in the description below. I use it on almost every sound in my production. It's not just a saturator, it has all of these different types of filters. It's beyond the scope of this video to explore all of them. In my course Start to Finish, I have a whole module dedicated to help you achieve radio quality tracks. I don't want you to just finish every track you start. I also want you to never get stuck with any technical details, so you can focus on your creativity when you're producing. So mistake number 2 is not using enough saturation. How would you know if you add too much saturation or too little? Think about it like this. Imagine you paint a landscape, but instead of looking outside of the window at the view, you're in a room without windows, trying to guess how it would look like. You might think your kick and bass sound good and your percussion crisp and punchy, but when you're comparing it with a reference track, you realize that your mids are too muddy, your bass is muffled, and your percussions sound thin, and your overall mix lacks clarity and energy. I highly recommend using a plugin such as Reference by Mastering the Mix. It allows you to compare individual frequency bands so you can A/B specific elements in your track. It also allows you to compare the dynamic range and stereo width of your track compared to the reference. So mistake number 3 is not using a reference track. But don't expect your tracks to sound exactly like the reference track. Not in the beginning and not at any point. And that leads me to point number 4. When I started using reference tracks, I thought they will help me make the perfect mix. I would spend hours trying to match every element in the mix to sound exactly like the reference. I was such a perfectionist, but no matter what I did, my track never felt as polished as the reference. So what I did, I kept adjusting my EQ and compression, tweaking elements and swapping sounds. But my track was still not even close to be done. And I actually got to a point where I thought that my music will never sound good enough. And because I listened to the track so many times, I lost perspective of what's good anymore. This is what happens when you are listening to parts of your tracks in isolation. Did it ever happen to you? This is one of the biggest traps for producers. It really makes you think, if my track is not clean as the reference track, I need to keep tweaking things. Or if I replace this sound, it will sound much better, and I will just adjust one more little thing. Have you ever been there? I have, and every producer I know has. So what can you do to break free from this cycle of endless tweaking of your tracks? There was a famous experiment done with a group of photography students. They were split into 2 groups. One group was told to take just one perfect photo. They were given as much time as needed to plan the photo and edit it. The other group was told to take 100 photos. Which group you think took the best photo? Well, at the end of the experiment, the group that was told to take 100 photos produced much better pictures. Why? They didn't chase perfection. They were actively practicing, learning, and improving with every shot they took. So if you spend months on one track trying to make it perfect, you won't gain as much experience as someone that finished 10 tracks in the same time, right? So use a reference track as a guide without trying to get the exact same result. It's there only to make sure you are in the right direction. And if you struggle to make your music sound good and often feel stuck in the process, I cover this topic in depth in my course. It's what helped my client David go from 0 tracks in 2 years to finishing 3 tracks in 2 months. And in the course I talk about the mindset shift you need to finish every track you start, exercises to help you stop overthinking, and a structured approach for finishing more high quality music. Do you want to be there as well? Then just click the link in the description. And the thing is, even if you can apply everything in this video, there are 4 habits that helped me and my client finish more high-quality tracks on a consistent basis. And if you want to find out what those habits are, then watch that video.